Hello, my subscribers. So as promised, I'm gonna go ahead and do a top 10 of my favorite movies of 2021. I have seen many of them, and I will say this for some other YouTubers who put movies on their top 10 lists, which I will never get. The Snyder Cut, not a great movie, and oh yeah, Toxicity got that movie made. And you can at me all you want. There is toxicity in the Snyder cult, and it is a cult. And yeah, anyway, gonna say it here and make this public on my YouTube channel. I don't give a shit. At me all you want. Anyway, with that little tiny rant aside, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And as you can tell, the Snyder Cut isn't gonna be on here, and this is my personal list. So please don't at me, and keep it civil if you're a Snyder fan, because it's a new year, and quite frankly, let's not continue some of these past trends. And I guess I'll say this to get it out of my system. The Snyderverse is dead. Not coming back. To anyone who thinks it is, it's not. It's done. DC's moving on like they should be. And like we all should from 2021 to 2022. Anyway, here we are. Well, to start off my list, I'm going to go ahead and put a movie that has made others worst of 2021. But I'm going to go ahead and put it at the bottom because, I don't know, I enjoyed it in some way. So, yeah. I will admit there are flaws in it, but starting off, it is Space Jam: A New Legacy. Now, to sum up my thoughts on this, because I'll say this right now, I don't have in-depth reviews on all of these movies, but if I do have one, I will highlight it and maybe even throw in an annotation if I can to some of my previous videos, because I will be mentioning some of them, and they'll probably be up higher on the list because they'll be the ones I really enjoyed. Anyway, I don't know, I kind of just enjoyed the aspect of Looney Tunes characters in some iconic Warner Brothers movies. And that Rick and Morty cameo was just absolutely wonderful, especially with a PG-rated Rick saying, "He's your problem now, dum-dums." But obviously Rick would probably say something a lot more vulgar if it wasn't a kid's movie, so yeah. But did have a pretty decent message. LeBron James was pretty good. I don't know. It was not as bad as I think people are making it out to be. So, anyway, there's Space Jam: A New Legacy. So here's a few images, and then we'll move on to number 9. At number 9, this was a movie that really surprised me, especially considering its previous iteration, which bored the living hell out of me, and I had a hard time finishing it. But that is Dune 2021. And I guess my cat wants to make another appearance on YouTube. Say hi to all my followers, Judy. Judy says hi. Anyway, on to Dune 2021. Really was surprised by this movie. I didn't see it in theaters. I kind of just wanted... Some of these I'll fully admit I didn't see in theaters because I just got lazy and thought I'd watch them at my home. But some of these there was no option. It was non-negotiable, so yeah. But anyway, and one of them which you would think I would have seen in theaters, but I actually just watched it at home, but it is what it is. Anyway, really liked this movie. Had a real solid story, real great characters. Timothée Chalamet was surprisingly well in the lead in this movie. He really impressed me, along with Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, but then again, I'm not really surprised by her. She's a badass in Mission Impossible, and same thing with her role in The Greatest Showman. She was wonderful in that movie, even though she didn't do her own singing. Her singing was dubbed. Except I have heard the audio of her singing, and her singing was good. I guess she did it just as for the sake of the movie type of thing. But yeah, it was a real engaging story, and I'm glad part 2 got confirmed. So that'll be nice to see moving forward. And just overall, real solid cast. Oscar Isaac, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård. The list goes on and on. I'd highly recommend this movie. It is a little long though, so I must say, when you watch it, make sure you set aside some time. It's an investment. You can't casually watch it. So anyway, here's Dune 2021. And now let's move on to number 8. Now, this will probably rank a lot lower. It may piss off some DC fans, but trust me, this is a real high rating, especially with my very mixed feelings on DC as of lately with some of their recent movies and decisions, especially with casting Robert Pattinson as Batman, who I think is a miscast, along with Ben Affleck, who many people praise as the best one, when I feel like, no, he's basically the Timothy Dalton of Batman. Completely missed the mark, and I don't get how people love him. Kind of like the same way I feel about Timothy Dalton as James Bond. Anyway, that besides the point. This is The Suicide Squad. Now, this movie really impressed me, and I got to admit, I have some reasons for why I don't really love it, and it didn't make my top 5. This is still a real high ranking, though, especially considering DC and I lean typically more towards the MCU. But, yeah, it had a real solid story. Margot Robbie, my love, as you can tell. Well, you can barely see it in the background, but I have a Harley Quinn poster behind me there. Really love the character, and on the shelf to my right is Harley Quinn action figure. You can't see it, but it's there. But, yeah, anyway, she was absolutely wonderful. Loved her new costume, and she looked great. Idris Elba was real great as Bloodsport. And John Cena was the highlight as Peacemaker. Oh, and the villain, Starro, was absolutely incredible. That was an obscure DC villain who I never thought we'd see in a movie. But James Gunn did him justice and had his James Gunn flair that he had in Guardians of the Galaxy and basically applied it to the Suicide Squad, which I gotta say is it's kind of a good and bad thing, because, I mean, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's great, but I feel like he did it already, and the impact is kind of just poof, it's gone. Like, it just doesn't feel the same. Like, I really just yeah, I just did not really get that. But anyway, I gotta say, it has a lot of similar, like, plot elements from Guardians of the Galaxy, both of the movies. It had that same retro inspired soundtrack, and also frickin' what was I gonna say? The team dynamic was very reminiscent of it, and I hate to say it, I feel like he kind of just took the Guardians of the Galaxy formula, made it R-rated, and applied the Suicide Squad to it. Still a great movie. It's just one thing I can't ignore now upon rewatch. Still great though. Still love it. I just don't really love it among some in the comic book community, and how some are comparing it to The Dark Knight and some of the landmarks of the genre. Yeah, no. If anything, some of the movies that are coming up in my list, I feel, are going to be up there among the landmarks of the superhero genre. And, yeah, anyway, that besides the point. I mean, I feel Logan and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame are more up there among that, deserving of those accolades. Anyway, let's go ahead and here's a few images from that, move on to the next movie. On to number 7, a real pleasant surprise that I saw when I saw a double feature at the drive-in with another movie that's going to be a little higher on this list. It's Free Guy, a movie that was on NPCs in video games with Ryan Reynolds as an NPC, with a cameo by Hugh Jackman, and basically this movie is basically just GTA NPCs, the movie. Like, it really analyzes a lot of what goes on with NPCs and one who goes against the grain, and it kind of made me want to go back to playing GTA, because I kind of went on a hiatus, but it inspired me to go back, and I'm playing it again, and if a movie can do that, now that is a freaking highlight right there. And Jodie Comer was really great as Molotov Girl / Millie. Really loved her, along with Joe Carey from Stranger Things. He was great in the movie. And Taika Waititi as Anton, the villain, was great. And how it commented on some of the bullshit that modern day video game publishers do, releasing inferior games and DLCs and shit. Oh, it resonated with me. I really enjoyed it, and I gotta say too, you can enjoy it from other aspects of the story too, not just the video game aspect. It's kind of a movie that you can enjoy whether you're a huge diehard gamer like me, or you're a casual, or you're not a gamer at all. So anyway, there's Free Guy at number 7. At number 6 is Eternals, which I did get a review on, so I guess I'll go ahead and get that put up in annotation, or at least a link in the description. Anyway, yeah, I don't get why some people trashed on this movie. This is not a bad Marvel movie by any means. I felt like the long pace was justified, really loved the story, and I kind of liked how the villain was kind of blurred. Like, you're like, are you really a villain? You kind of have a really good point. Kind of like Killmonger, so yeah. And let's just say there is a cliffhanger in this movie, which, holy shit, I jumped out of my seat with it. I was like, holy shit, they went there. And all the characters are great. And both post-credit scenes are great, and let's just say it has a tease for a future MCU movie, which I can't wait to see. I guess I'll go ahead and just leave it at that, though I ain't gonna spoil it. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to number 5. So on to number 5. This is a movie which, with what I've said about it, you may be surprised that I put it here. But, and considering all the videos I've done on this, but, I don't know, I feel like it kind of got outdone by a couple of other movies. But still up there among some of my favorite Marvel movies of the year, and still a high honor being in the top 5. That being Black Widow. Gotta say right now, don't listen to some of the critics. Their criticisms are stupid as fuck. And this is a great send-off for Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. And I got a feeling this is going to be one of those movies that in time people are going to appreciate more. It's going to be very much like Avengers Age of Ultron and Iron Man 2. It's going to get more appreciated as it ages. But yeah, overall, real solid villain. I won't say who it is because there's actually kind of a twist with the villain, but I really enjoyed what they did with it. Scarlett gave a great performance. Don't listen to the critics who say that she was outshined in her own movie by Florence Pugh. I find that absolutely bullshit. Her story, first and foremost, is what drives the plot, and also, let's just say the ending completely just shoves Yelena and everyone else aside and focuses solely on Natasha. And Florence Pugh was absolutely incredible as Yelena Belova, so yeah, I really love that. Can't really complain there. And she was great, along with Rachel Weisz as Melina Vostokov / Iron Maiden. She was great and loved her, and her and Scarlett had some great chemistry. And David Harbour, holy crap, him as Red Guardian was absolutely wonderful. And the way how he loved both of his adopted daughters and also Melina was just real sweet. And the real family aspect of this story was real great. And also love Scarlett's Black Widow white suit. So just going to share a few images. That's all I got to say. You want to hear more about my thoughts on this movie in depth, go ahead and watch the review. So there's Black Widow. Now on to number 4. Along the lines of actor's final film in a long tenure is one of my favorite film series that isn't Marvel or Star Wars, that being James Bond. And the Daniel Craig era. Well, I've already done my spoiler-free review on No Time to Die. Still didn't do the spoiler review. So I guess all I will say is what happened, what they've done to end Daniel Craig's tenure as Bond is absolutely incredible. He got a real great send-off. Really like Rami Malek as the villain, Safin. And Billie Eilish's No Time to Die was absolutely wonderful. This Bond movie, I feel, was basically the James Bond equivalent to Logan. He really got one great send-off. Daniel Craig gave a real great final performance. And gosh, when he said some lines, it was just wonderful. And let's just say the end credits song, it's quite emotional. And I got a feeling that as much as I love this movie, I can't really watch it all the time. It's like me with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. I have to be in the mood to want to watch it. But yeah, maybe at some point this year, this upcoming year, 2022, I will fill in the gap and get a No Time to Die review up. So anyway, go see No Time to Die. It was absolutely wonderful. Daniel Craig got an incredible send-off. And I'm gonna miss him. The only other thing I will add is I have a personal connection with Daniel Craig, James Bond. Skyfall was the theme of my junior prom, and I danced with my date to that prom to the same song of the same name. And really like that, and No Time to Die is definitely up there. The action's great, so really, this is just the best Bond film it could have been. Daniel Craig and Carrie Joy Fukunaga and the writers and anyone else involved, really, they put their A game into this movie, and you can tell. Anyway, moving on to number 3. At number 3 is a movie I feel doesn't get enough credit, and a lot of YouTubers are shafting, and that's Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay, I'm gonna say it. What the fuck, YouTube? This is a great movie! And Jeremy Johns, I'm calling you out. You were overly critical on Ghostbusters Afterlife. You were way too critical on it. This is a great movie. This is the Ghostbusters 3 we've been wanting. And Chris Stuckman, credit to you. You actually gave it a pretty damn solid endorsement, and you made me want to watch it with your review. Anyway, that little rant aside on other YouTubers who I don't agree with, Ghostbusters Afterlife, this was the Ghostbusters 3 we should have got. What was put up with this script with Jason Reitman, he really worked real well with his father Ivan to give us a real solid Ghostbusters without spoiling anything. Well, I did do the spoiler-free review, but let's just say Harold Ramis has been honored with this movie, and he's kind of the heart of the movie, to be quite honest. He's the heart and the soul. And how it concludes with, the Ghostbusters story. If this is the final one, I'm perfectly fine with it. But it does leave the door open for more, if there's going to be more, so either way. But let's just say it hit the right balance of the new cast and making them enjoyable and likable, and also respecting the previous cast. Very much what Black Widow did. It didn't shaft Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, or Ernie Hudson, along with Annie Potts, so yeah. And same thing with Sigourney Weaver. And it was nice to see some updates to the Ghostbusters tech, and it was kind of nice to watch a Ghostbusters movie that also didn't take place in New York City, so that was nice, as this one took place in a rural town in Oklahoma. Anyway, I guess that's all I gotta say on Ghostbusters 2. Watch this movie. It's very underrated, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to number 2. So yeah, you'll probably be surprised because of how I just did one video on this movie, but after thinking about it more and more, I have really, really enjoyed it, and can't wait to see what it's going to do for the future of the MCU. And this particular character, who is just absolutely great, and let's just say that it was absolutely wonderful, and that is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That's the other MCU movie that I ended up seeing at the drive-in along with Free Guy and one more time in the theater, and I really loved it. The action was great, especially the bus fight scene. Like, holy shit, what they did with that fight was great. Simu Liu was a real great lead as Shang-Chi. Basically, the whole cast is great, and I liked how they kind of redeemed a prior MCU movie that made a decision with a particular character I wasn't too fond of, but I kind of like what it did now. What they did here was definitely the right call, and I absolutely loved it, and it's definitely a Marvel movie I'll definitely go back to watch again. It's definitely just real great, and I guess the best way to put it, to describe both the story and the action, it's like a cross between The Matrix and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So yeah. And also there's even some anime references in it that I really liked, and the movie kind of got me interested in anime. I was kind of already into it a little before, well, re-interested, because my interest died, but it's coming back. But yeah, I kind of re-sparked it. So anyway, really enjoyed it, and can't wait to see the sequel, and can't wait to see where Shang-Chi goes in the future of the MCU. And the use of Hotel California in this movie is absolutely wonderful. Gave me a new love for that song. I already liked it, but this movie gave me a new love for it again. Anyway, moving on to number 1. And in a reversal of what Jeremy Johns did, because this is way better than number 4, number 1 is the movie that is across all my social media and basically anywhere I could put a profile pic. That being Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, you've seen my action figures, you know my thoughts. I gave a whole spoiler-filled video that was over half an hour going in depth in the spoilers. All I'm gonna say here is this is now my favorite Spider-Man movie. It kind of helped me change my mind on some past Spider-Man movies and whatnot, all that. So yeah, which I didn't think I'd ever say. But overall, just real solid. The villains were all wonderful. And where it leaves Spider-Man in the future for the MCU is great, and all those morons can shut up when they say that Tom Holland is being written out of the MCU, because that's absolute bullshit. It's not happening. And yeah, just overall, really enjoyed this movie, and real great action, real solid story, solid heart, and for a movie that's over 2.5 hours long, the pacing, it doesn't feel like it at all. It feels about an hour and a half long. Like, it is really great, and I can't wait to watch it over and over and just absolutely just really love it. This movie had a lot of hype to live up to, and it did that. And to be honest, I feel like this is going to be a superhero landmark, that people are already discussing it as one, which I totally agree with. Much like Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse, Dark Knight, and okay, you know what I'm going to say? This is a landmark of the superhero genre, especially for what it did with crossover superhero movies, that being the original Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, not Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Those are definitely some landmarks of the genre right there, along with Logan. I got a feeling Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be up there among that discussion, because what this movie did was just absolutely great. It cemented Tom Holland as a real solid Spider-Man. And just every character was real great in this movie. And it also kept intact all the best aspects of Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, and Doc Ock, Alfred Molina. So I guess that's all I got to say. And I guess all I'm going to leave off on for this is, I guess, the Green Goblin will give his thoughts on this list. Jacob, you are weak. I would rearrange some of these movies. The Snyder Cut should be on your list. And Spider-Man No Way Home should be at the bottom. And you give too much credit to some movies you should not have. Okay, now the Green Goblin, you can fuck off, because this is a great list. I don't know what's wrong with him, so I'm gonna have to go take care of him. Just kidding, that was a little, probably unplanned bit, but kind of wanted to continue my freaking random impersonations of Willem Dafoe, because I guess I can do him surprisingly good, and the laugh is not as hard as I thought it would be to do. Anyway, I guess I'll finish off. Let's bring in Spider-Man. Yeah, I gotta say, this is a real solid list, and thank you, Jacob, for putting my movie #1 on your list. I didn't expect that, but it was real nice, and I like all of these other movies. Some of these I gotta get to watching, but I gotta go ahead and swing and go fight the crime of New York, so goodbye. Alright, those little bits aside, let's go ahead and there are my favorite movies of 2021 right there. So hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.